All right, people. Dean Brown here with you, holistic life coach. I'm happy to be sharing the screen with Yannick Picard. He's actually very local to me. He's also in Toronto, Canada. He's the neuroactive coach, and you're going to get a chance to hear about what experiences and expertise that Yannick brings to the game. I really love Yannick. He's a very, very intelligent man. He helped me a lot of times with different things, and you're going to get an opportunity to experience that with me. I'm going to ask him some questions, and we're going to give you guys a chance to, if you have the nerve to step up and ask a question that hasn't been answered yet. I'm going to give everybody a chance to do a quick Q&A towards the end. And so there we go. And this is the way it goes, my friend. So Yannick, my good friend.
Dean, thank you so much for inviting me.
Happy to have you here, my friend. And what I'm going to ask you first is to enlighten us as to what it is that inspired you to become a neuroactive coach, and maybe even explain what a neuroactive coach is, because I'm sure there's a couple of people out there going, what in the world is a neuroactive coach?
Yeah, what does that thing eat in the winter? So what got me into coaching? So here's I'm going to go back several decades, Dean, and just talk to you about like that seed that got planted.
Cool.
So I was probably 15 or 16 at the time, and like a couple decades ago. Yeah. And so I watched an infomercial, and the infomercial, it was Tony Robbins.
Okay.
And this guy just like blew like that infomercial just like blew my mind. And he was selling a program, like a cassette. Like, I mean, I guess I dated myself. Actual cassette that you would listen to and sort of like do the work. And so that actually planted the seed for me. And then I didn't really think about this until like, honestly, like decades later. And so I'll bring this to current. So about 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, the person that I thought I was going to marry basically showed up at my house one day. And this is after I just sold my house, because we had talked about moving in together, to tell me to break it to me that he was breaking up with me. And I was like the first thing that popped through my head is WTF. Like,
yeah, no kidding.
And it's like something happened at that point. It's almost like I could say it's almost like he triggered all of like the three major traumas that I had been carrying with me for decades. And so my sister had recently completed a coaching program, and she basically was talking to me about it. And I thought to myself, you know what? This sounds like right up my alley. So I'm just gonna like do the course. But at that point, I wasn't thinking of doing the course to become a coach.
Right.
I actually thought like, hey, you know what? I'm done dealing with this. In my situation, I tried a therapist. That wasn't really effective, successful for me. And so I just thought, it's like, okay, so you know what, like I've gone down this path, like didn't really get the results. Let's go down another path and see what lies there for me. And so, so I just basically signed up for this coaching program, which was over several months. And like I said, like I got there the first day, and in my head, it was like, okay, so I'm doing this work, and I'm doing this work for me, so that I basically get to sort of like make sense of what was going on, how triggers worked, how I could basically understand and sort of like get to a better place.
Absolutely.
Which I think like most of us, that's really where we want to go. We just like,
absolutely,
we're stuck somewhere. Things aren't working out, and we've got this dream that, you know what, like there's got to be something better.
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, I just basically sat down and was a sponge. I just basically like absorbed the content. And at some point during the course, we're basically paired up and asked to practice everything that we're taught. So we would do a portion with other classmates, and then we would have another portion that we could do with friends or family members. Now, I was blown away by my own personal results, the results that other classmates, other students in the group, and family and friends were getting. And I'm like, hold on a second. And then the Tony Robbins thing from decades before came back.
Click.
And it was like, you know what? This is it.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do.
Cool.
And so I guess that's like to give you a long answer as to how I got to where I am today. That was the journey.
Cool.
You had a question about Neuroactive.
Yes.
So Neuroactive is just basically an accreditation, and a lot of Neuroactive is basically comes from NLP, so neuro linguistic programming.
Okay.
Be familiar with. So a lot of it comes from that. And so it's just like a different type of coaching program that uses maybe the top 10 NLP techniques that are commonly used, and just sort of like packages them as a separate course.
I like it. That NLP is quite powerful, actually. I'm practicing that myself, and it's one of those things that that you can really make powerful use of it when you're helping your clients. It's really powerful. That's awesome. And what in that is there something you wish you'd have known before you began your career? Something particular that maybe would have made it easier?
So what? And it's funny that you asked that because I something that, you know what, Dean, I think that like as I progressed in my coaching career, and basically as you know, like as coaches, we also hire coaches to help us break through and get to get to the next level when the wall or whatnot. And so I probably say that like I didn't know once I finished or I completed my course that how much personal work was involved in getting to where I am today.
Right.
However,
either way,
but how much it would help me.
Yes.
So I didn't know how much work would be involved, but at the same time, not knowing also that work, everything that opened up and that's still opening up because of that. Cool.
And that's, that personal work, that personal growth, that helps us become who we're supposed to be, and also helps us understand how to help other people in that.
That's absolutely right, because a great coach of mine always says that, you know what, once you've broken through that thing that you're breaking through, then you can turn around and actually give that to your clients.
Exactly.
So if you've done it, if you've broken through, then you hold that key that can basically be used by others to also break free.
I'm a big fan of learn, practice, master, and then you can teach, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's the way I approach things. And I try to make sure that when I'm dealing with someone, I'm always listening to who they are rather than trying to formulate a question based on what they're saying. So that's very powerful. I find that super powerful. Now, as we move forward in the interview, Yannick, I'd like to know, what have you found yourself tripping over the most, or what has been some people call it a failure, but I call it a lesson. There's really, you never, like, the guy that created the light bulb, he knows 10,000 ways how not to make a light bulb, right? So what would you say was your biggest challenge in getting to where you are now?
So one of the things, you know what, it was almost like going back to a promise that I had made to myself. So I was bullied as a kid, pretty badly. And, I'm okay to talk about it.
Good.
But I basically, I promised myself that I was putting that in a box. I was burying that box and burning the map to get back to that box.
Right.
Never, ever wanting to see the contents again.
Yep.
So yeah,
you essentially buried a part of yourself and threw it away in a lot of ways.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, like this is like traumatic, and I know the toll that it's taken. It's taken, on me.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I, you know what? I'm done. I'm walking away.
Yeah.
But that being said, I don't want to say forced. I was led to putting that map back together and finding the box and unearthing it, and to deal with its content.
Yeah.
And that was that, you know what, Dean, that was liberating. It was freeing in ways that I never would have expected.
Powerful. That's cool. And I'm glad that you did that for yourself, Yannick, because it makes you a complete person. It makes you more Yannick. It makes you able to help other people be them true selves or their true selves, for grammatical purposes. And I'm really proud of you for having done that, my friend, because it shows in your confidence. It shows in your willingness to help other people explore who they are, because you've done the same for yourself, right? Back to that learn, practice, master, and teach, right? So it's a beautiful thing, and it's a powerful thing. So in that, what kind of advice would you share with someone that's trying to get to in a career similar to ours? Is there a specific tidbit of advice that you would share?
Hold on to your hat.
That's concise.
It's you know what? I hope that you enjoy the roller coasters. Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, like I'll say this to you, like jokingly, and like tongue in cheek, but I'm serious.
Oh, I know.
Like, in order to basically like to sort of like heal and sort of like break through.
Yep.
Like, leave no stone unturned.
Yep.
There are some days, some weeks where like it's going to be like the start of the roller coaster, where like you're just basically like you're flying high and it's going great, and then you'll hit a wall, and then you'll start digging and realizing that, oh my God, like this other thing that I had completely forgotten about is back.
Yeah.
And so needing to address that.
Yeah.
So if anything, I will add to that, don't be afraid.
There we go.
Because everything you want is on the other side of that fear.
That's right.
Everything.
That's right. Everything. And the way I've learned that is, my trauma happened to me when I was 3, when my mother was taken away, and I thought it was my fault. And I buried that thought, and it took a therapist a lot of time to get that. And when I actually remembered that thought, I went blind. I literally went blind in the chair.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was quite the experience. It was really something else, but it taught me to realize that we are our biggest obstacle in life. We don't understand until we choose to understand. You got to go through some pain to realize there's more pain to go through. And it's those challenges, those realizations are what we as coaches, we have to live through them in order to help other people live through them.
Right. No, absolutely. And sometimes, you know what, and this has happened to me sometimes, where I think that, hey, you know what, I've finally gotten to the bottom of this. And only for it to come back slightly differently, and then just sort of like throw you off, where you like, I'll need to just, okay, so like, what's going on? Okay, so I can see what's coming up, and then just realizing that, okay, so you know what, there's just an aspect that hadn't been looked at. So
that's right. So as we go along and we get to where we want to be, there's always something that helps us get there. So what would you feel would have been one of your greatest resources to help you along as you traveled through this great, world of self-discovery and helping other people do the same? What's your greatest resource?
My greatest resource?
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Can I have two? There's
sure, yeah. Go for it, man. Go for it.
But here's the interesting thing. One wouldn't be there without the other.
Yeah.
So in November of last year, it's about the time that, I don't know why it took me this long, but it's about the time that I posted on LinkedIn that I was a coach. Right. And I've been a coach for years before. But I finally had done that on LinkedIn, and a couple of days later, I had a LinkedIn message from this guy, basically starting a conversation. I'm like, really? I just switched it, and it anyway. Fast forward a couple of months, I'm in his Facebook group, and they are they're about to launch this coaching program for coaches, how to basically build your business during a pandemic.
Yeah,
I had relied up until that point to meeting friends for coffee. Same thing with acquaintances. Doing sort of like in-person networking, house parties. I mean, the usual way that you normally organically would build a business. And of course, with COVID, that just screeched to a complete halt.
Yep.
And so when I saw this, I was like, you know what, this is exactly what I need. And Dean, you're familiar with them. I'm talking about HPC.
Yes.
And so I want, I'd say, I want to thank them. Huge. For running such an amazing program. And so in the second part of this answer is all the coaches that I've come across in that program that have either helped me or that I've been able to help, and by the same time sort of grow as a coach.
Yeah.
So that's my two for one answer to
there we go. Beautiful. That's okay. You can have that bonus extra answer. It's all good. And we're all, as we grow, we're always inspired, or we're always given a good idea by something that we read or listen to, or something that we're told or taught. What would be your greatest inspiration in the last little while?
So you know what, the coaches, both the coaches at HPC and the coaches in the program. Have been, some of them have been there when you least expect. You just get on a call because we're just doing sort of either a mastermind, or we're doing accountability, and just the caliber of people who go up and are willing to actually, when you sort of hit a wall, just willing to say, hey, you know what, here's my schedule.
That's right.
Go up on a call and I'll help you. And so that would definitely be one. Tony Robbins, who I mentioned earlier, definitely was an influence. And my grandfather, actually, my paternal grandfather, he was actually I'd say one of the most loving and caring guys ever. And and so that I just, you know what, I have a hard time putting it into words.
Sure, absolutely. But as irony would have it, that I'm going to give you a chance to expand on that, because it leads me into my next question about who do you feel were the most influential people in your life, either a mentor, family member, somebody from history. And I'm thinking you're going to talk about your grandfather, if you can get some words to it.
Yeah, actually, my grandfather would definitely be up there. He is, he was one of the kindest souls, the most accepting souls out there. And I mean, my grandmother as well. But I'd say, you know what, my grandfather is I really, really and still look up to this guy. And there are days where sometimes like I'm just like, okay, so like how would Grandpa like how would he handle this? So
Right.
because I know that he would always come from the heart, and so yeah, so it's like, okay, so how would you do it? And then I would just sort of like try as best I can to basically act in the way that he would have acted under those circumstances.
Absolutely. And it's kind of ironic because you mentioned something that a lot of people do, and they, people that have a religious background, they would get into a pickle and they'd say, what would Jesus do? Right. Or, stuff like that. And so what would Grandpa do? You're actually the second person in the last while. I interviewed a gentleman by the name of Gene Hutchins earlier today. I think you happened to be popped on there for a while, and he mentioned that his grandfather was also a big influence for him. So I think that kind of lends to the wisdom thing that we have as we get older.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that there's a lot of that going on there, where as we grow, as we become a better person, as we go through what we coaches are not only doing for ourselves, but for other people, that wisdom is something that is like, it starts out as a seed and becomes a great oak. So very powerful. Thank you. I appreciate that, Yannick. And so that leads me to the one thing that we always wonder about, and that is the thing that might have deflected you the most, or been a challenge for you the most. What myth or falsehood or lie, maybe I shouldn't use the word lie, but that deceiving thing is the biggest thing that you'd like to talk about or debunk, for that matter?
So biggest, you know what? Let's go with myth.
Sure. Yeah.
So I come across people who think that coaching is often something that is done at the executive levels, or like celebrity levels, or sort of like really, really like I don't want to say elite, but sort of like more at the elite level.
Yeah.
And so
Oprah Winfrey had a coach, and everybody thinks that you have to be Oprah Winfrey to have a coach. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically. So
yeah.
So it's like, well, it's like I don't need a coach. Like I'm not Oprah, or I'm not like Michelle Obama or whatnot. And to that, I say that, you know what, like coaching is for anyone who can like sort of like feel the need. Mm-hmm. And like it could be something like you're stuck, like yep. You've been stuck for months. You're in a place that that there's better out there.
Yeah.
And you need that coaching to basically help you get there. So it'd probably be to say that coaching is a lot more for everyone than what certain people might think.
Right. And today, with the things going on with the COVID restrictions and the resultant corporate confusion, because I see a lot of corporate confusion these days, there's a lot of people that are put in a place where they don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. And they don't even know what to think about what they need to do. And this is where coaches like you and I come in, where we're able to get through that muddle, that muck in their head, that confusion, and actually get them to the right place.
Right. And I mean, like a lot of the time, so a lot of the time, basically, I find, or I come across people who are stuck because of fear.
Yeah.
And what always comes to mind I'll share this with you. It's like, if you're making survival your priority, everything becomes a threat.
Yep. Yep. Everything. Yeah. Every thought all day long, and you're under threat. Absolutely true. Yeah. And you're forgetting your spiritual truth. You're forgetting your ability to have peace and happiness, simply because you're considering everything to be a threat. And that's super powerful. Thank you, Yannick. I appreciate that. And here we have a comment from one of my clients. There you go.
Oh yeah. That's true.
Thank you, Dana. Appreciate that. And as I know Dana to be a very intelligent lady, and she's gained a lot of growth through what I've taught her as my client. And thank you for being here, Dana. I appreciate that. And this is a chance for her to ask questions to you, because I'm about to say to you something along those lines. Is what question would you like to answer that I've not asked you yet? Is there something you'd like to share with us that I've not mentioned?
How about biggest breakthrough, or one of my biggest breakthrough?
Yeah, sure. Let's hear it, brother.
Okay. So I have recently, I've recently figured out or determined or whatnot that that the bullied 9-year-old version of myself was often holding the remote control to how I acted, how I showed up. And so that was a big breakthrough for me, because thinking as the rational adult,
right,
you wouldn't necessarily think that the traumatized child you mentioned 3 years old for yourself. In my case, it was I was 9. That I guess event would still, decades later, have an impact.
Absolutely. It caused me a lot of problems. It caused me to have a breakup with my wife, and to doubt my entire existence. So I can only imagine that there's people out there that have not had that opportunity to get that breakthrough that you and I have had, right? And that's going to really, really hold them back in their life goals and their approach to how they answer questions through the day, approach problems, deal with other people, how deep their judgment is. Here's a question for you, my friend.
What would I say to my 9-year-old self? And it's funny that you asked that, Dana. As a result of basically finding this out, it was suggested to me that I write a letter to my 9-year-old self.
Nice.
And so it was suggested that I write it, and I don't want to say not really do anything with it, but just to put it out, just write it out. And so what I decided to do instead is I actually decided to publish it on LinkedIn, so that it was available for anybody and everybody to view, because I figured it's like, if I am able to show up vulnerable, raw, and share this and with others, then hopefully it will basically allow others to do the same.
Yep. Yeah, powerful, very powerful. I appreciate that deeply, and I think Dana does too, because of her comment there. And it's one thing to have that experience, to have that breakthrough, but it's another to share it, right?
Right. And it was funny, because when it was initially suggested that I do that, the first thing that came to mind is like, well, I don't know how to do that. Well, literally, I was like, okay, I'm like, what do I write in this? And so I'm like, oh, and as the person who was suggesting it to me was still on the Zoom call, I'm like, okay, I'll just Google it. And she basically said, you know what? Don't. Just write it.
Yes. Yeah.
Just because whatever you write will be what you need.
That's right. And if you Google, it's not about you anymore.
Exactly. Even right? I have no idea, it'll just give me like an outline or something like that. I implore you, if you're going to do this exercise, to basically do it blindly, without reading anybody else's prior to. If you want to go and read it after, sure, absolutely. Yeah. But I think that for this exercise to be the most truthful to yourself, it is to basically write it completely blindly, not knowing 100%. How to do it, what to write in it. It will come to you.
There you go. And there's your next question, my friend. The floor is out for Dana.
My eulogy. Have you done that? No, I have not written my eulogy. That's actually interesting. Dean, have you written your eulogy?
To some extent, I have written my eulogy. I think you kind of tickle that when you write your will, okay. Right? And so for me, the will is the one that gets as close as I've gotten to that. And I've written my will several times. I've written it when I was angry. I've written it when I was sad. I've written it when I was confused, and they're extremely different. And yeah, right. So that's a powerful question right there. Thank you, Dana. I'm going to put that back up because I'd like the people that watch this in the rebroadcast to absorb the power of that, and that awareness of, you know, what you want to leave behind on that gravestone or on that marker is powerful. It leads me to a joke that about a guy by the name of Odd. We won't go through that right now, but Dana has another question, my friend, so I'm going to share that with you now.
Great way to look at how you want to be remembered, the legacy you want to leave behind. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, like the only thing that I basically set out in my will is that throw a party.
There you go. So, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Just, you know what? Don't I don't want to say like don't cry or to minimize the emotions that the people might have.
Yeah.
But please, like, just like please, like, enjoy what the impact that I've had on you.
That's right.
What I brought into your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Helps keep perspective today. Right. I mean, if you are focusing on that, on what your legacy would be, and Gene Hutchins spoke about legacy earlier today. So let me go ahead and ask you that, Yannick. What do you feel? What sort of legacy or what kind of memories do you want to leave behind for people?
Memories.
Or legacy, if you want to use legacy.
It would have to be impact. How can I impact positively as many souls as possible?
Yeah.
How can I impact as many souls? And you know what? Like, part of it, like, of me thinks that it's almost like if you drop that rock in a lake.
Yeah.
The ripple effect.
Yeah.
And it's not because, like, I can say, like, oh, for example, like I was able to coach like hundreds of clients, that the answer is hundreds. I would hope that by basically like just coaching one person, that like how they start to interact with people around them.
Yes.
That it starts to impact those relationships. And then just like the ripple or a domino effect, that it just basically goes on and on.
There's a question for you, my friend.
How do you define spirituality? Some people confuse it with religion. Being religious, sorry. So I don't consider spirituality and religion to be the same. So
me neither. It's not. It's not.
It's not. Like, I think that, and it might just be like my own story playing out. But I think that, like, a lot of grandparents, great grandparents, and so on, were maybe led to believe, or maybe thought that they were inseparable, that they were one and the same. I'm very, very different with that, and it might just be like something of like my generation and generations like that are younger, that feel differently. But in terms of spirituality, it's like I actually see the world as like, it's almost like the universe, right?
Yep.
And we're all the easiest way I can say is sort of like spirits here, like living,
absolutely,
like in existence.
Yep.
So, like, hopefully, Dana, that answers your question with respect to spirituality. And yeah.
For me, I'm going to actually take a stab at this, Yannick, because I have a very strong belief about the difference between spirituality and religion. And it falls down to judgment and punishment. I think that the difference between spirituality and religion is judgment and punishment. So when I say that, if you go into most religions, I have not studied all of them, but every religion I've experienced, they have a very strong element of, yes, we all have different perspectives. And but they all have a strong element of what judgment should be or should not be, and what punishment should follow that judgment. Whereby, if you consider spirituality, where I think of it is that the true spirituality is the quantum field.
Yeah.
That is our life source. That is where we came from, and that's where we're going back to after we're finished this physical experience. That's the way I see it. And that quantum field only knows love, because life is love, and that's all there is to it. So in love, there's no judgment. And if there's no judgment, there's no punishment. And that's how I see it. But yeah, great questions. And thank you very, very much for that, Dana. I really, really appreciate the depth that you've brought out in this conversation, because it's super powerful for us to make that clarity, that awareness. And there we go. No ego.
No ego.
Right? Yeah. Right? And just to know that we are, there you go. There you go. No ego, because the ego is the part that drives us to judgment. And the judgment is the part that drives us to punishment. So thank you, Dana. I really, really appreciate that. She's a good student, isn't she, Yannick? So that is an awesome thing. And that power of that is really, really good, because there's almost no way to follow that up at this point, because we've gone as deep as we can possibly go now, right?
So Dana just dropped the mic.
Very good, Dana. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. And so what I'm going to do now, because we're pushing past 30 minutes, and I try to keep these close to 30 minutes to respect your time. And I know you have something at 8 o'clock. So I'm going to actually make sure that you have an opportunity to share how to make contact with you, Yannick. I want everybody to know, and I know that I checked with you earlier. Did you want to add something to that, and I'll add it into the banner?
Yeah, actually, so I'm also on LinkedIn. So Dean, I think you probably have my LinkedIn profile as well. So you can reach me.
I'll grab it now. I'll grab it right now, brother.
And that's probably you've got the website, LinkedIn,
yeah,
and the Facebook page. So I would say that those are probably like the three easiest ones to reach me through.
And do you have anything that you want to share with respect to what you would like to offer anybody, or anything along those lines? Do you have a workshop coming up soon or anything like that?
So I actually do have a workshop that's coming up tomorrow evening. So tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. It is actually it was initially geared towards single gay men. However, a few ladies actually decided to register for the workshop. So it's going to be a co-ed workshop.
Cool.
And where I will speak about how your beliefs basically play a role in creating the relationship of your dreams,
right?
Or potentially wreaking havoc in those plans.
Yeah, because you're not paying attention to your true self, right?
So exactly. And yeah. I mean, you and I both know this, like thoughts and mindset play a significant role.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like some people might not necessarily be as aware as to how that might play a role. Some people, it might be like everything else. Like I said at first, like therapy didn't yield results for me. People might be banging their heads thinking it's like, oh, I need a better dating profile. I need better photos. I need this, I need that. And it's almost like a city dweller. It's like not seeing the stars at night. Well, it's like, you know what? Let me take you somewhere else and let me show you something else.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm looking forward to delivering that in just, I guess, under 24 hours.
Can you give us a place to find that? Is there something
if you go onto my LinkedIn profile,
okay.
If you go to the most recent post, cool, which is highlighted on my profile, the ticket to Eventbrite is in the comments of that post.
Awesome. Now I'm just gonna, as a bit of a lark here, I'm gonna share that last little bit. Remember how I was saying Dana's a good student, and then she turned around and said that.
Teacher becomes student.
I love Dana. She's a great girl. And she shared that with, that's her problem. Where but that's awesome. That's really, really good. I really appreciate you sharing this with us, Yannick. and I just wanted to click through the ways to contact you.
Mhm.
You're a powerful coach. You're helping people in a great way, and I love the fact that we're brothers and that I know you and that we've gone through so much together in the HBC program where we've watched each other have breakthroughs, and we've shared those breakthroughs with each other. And you've helped me with some technical stuff too, away from the program. So I deeply appreciate that. You do know your way around the technology, and really cool. And you were patient with me too, because because I was doing the wrong stuff quick, and you're going, "No, Dean, 1, 2, 3," like the ball on the
Right.
karaoke, right?
When you do, when you're basically the sing-alongs. Yeah.
Yeah.
The people selling the sing-alongs. No, it's like, no. Like,
Yeah.
let's go back to the start and one syllable at a time.
That's right. And I appreciate your patience in that. And I know that as a coach, you're going to have that patience with other people. And that's a beautiful thing. I really appreciate it. So I really appreciate your time tonight, Yannick. You're awesome. And we're going to break off the broadcast, but we're going to chat after that. So much love, brother.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dean, for the invitation.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing everything with us. Thank you for being here, Dana. Much appreciate you being here, because I know you're a little under the weather tonight. So you had to do something, right? All right. Much love, you magnificent manifestors, and we'll catch up with you on the next live video.